Okay. Everybody hear me now? Okay, good. Hi, my sweet friends. Oh my gosh, I missed you all. I did see a few of you on Friday night for Ascending Soul Astrology, but here we are today for A Course in Miracles and more. And I'm so excited to share with you, my deepest thoughts and revelations and miracles and what I experienced personally on my journey to India. And I'm going to tell you things that, are in my journal. And I think they'll really help us all because, we're all one. And so we all have these same crazy ego thoughts, right? It's just that I'm going to voice them out. And so I think it's really awesome because it's in alignment with today's lesson, which is when I am healed, I am not healed alone. Yeah. And, the Course in Miracles refers to illness or sickness as separation from God. The result is sickness. So I'm going to go into a lot of things that I experienced personally, and I hope this will help you too. So the first thing is that, I had been feeling this call, this pull to go to India. Now, Baba's not even there. And his samadhi's there. But for some reason, for a few months, I had been saying, I don't know, I just want to go to the ashram. For which reason? Whatever reason, I have no idea. But that was a calling in my heart. Well, lo and behold, because of business, we did have to go over to India, and we started off in Chennai. So I'm going to start by telling you about all the attack thoughts that I had in my mind from the minute I left my door in Malacca until my arrival in Chennai and beyond. And like I said, maybe you have these thoughts too. It's just that you don't tell anybody, but I'm just gonna let it all be out there. Okay, so the first thing is our flight was leaving, early morning, so we had to get up quite early. And so the first attack thought was, oh my God, I have to get up so early. Okay? And now if I wouldn't have caught that attack thought, what would have happened was that would have taken me down real quick. But of course, having awareness of the thoughts in the mind is the first step in attaining peace. You have to be aware of what's in your mind and then be able to take those projections back. Because if you don't pull those projections back, you're going to throw them out onto the world and then blame the world for your lack of peace. Can you relate? Okay, so that was my first thought. Oh my God, we have to get up so early. Why couldn't I have thought, oh my goodness, how blessed am I to be going to India? And how wonderful is this trip going to be? Do you see how fast the thoughts come into the mind? So that was the first thing. But anyway, I got a handle on it and off we went. And it was Ruby, myself, Jamie, and Jackie. And we were heading to the airport bright and early. And we arrived at the airport. And, I fell asleep. So when you're sleeping, you're not aware if you have any attack thoughts. But I'm sure in dream state, there's lots going on, right? By the way, it's really nice to keep a dream journal because you can discover some deeper truths. They're not truths with a capital T, but truths that are beliefs that you have going on beneath the surface that can really help you once you become aware of them. So keep a dream journal. It's really awesome. So anyway, I'm sleeping. We get to the airport. And then the next attack thought I remember thinking was, oh my God, it is so cold in this airport. Like what? Can't they turn it? Like, why is it so cold in this airport? Not, oh my goodness, thank you God, this is so fabulous. Here I am in a place, where all these wonderful people are joining together to make my trip possible. Okay, can you relate? So it's like the first go-to of the mind that's separate from God is to attack what is. To attack what is. That's the first place the mind goes to when it's separate from God. And I just want to draw your attention to the beautiful Buddha statue that we have behind us. My late husband left this, And it's so beautiful. It's really, really old. It's from Burma. And I wanted to put it here in honor of Wesak Day, which was just a few days ago. The Buddha's wonderful birthday, and so that's why I put the Buddha there. But anyway, and it's a nice reminder, isn't it, that we can call God, our higher self, the Buddha, or Baba, or Jesus, or Mother Mary, but it all represents the same thing, that oneness that we have in spirit with God in our heart. So anyway, so there I was. It was cold, blah, blah, blah. So never mind. I caught the thought. I'm like, what? You are attacking what is. And Buddha said the reason you suffer is because you have an issue with what is. That's why you suffer. And that's so true. So I caught that thought. And I started to move into praise. Now, when you move into praise, what you're doing is raising the vibration. So instead of seeing what's wrong, you begin to praise what is. Thank you. And you move into thank you, and you move into love, praise, and gratitude. And then you have a different attitude about, your adventure ahead or the present moment, right? Okay, so then we went and we had a coffee and got into Starbucks. And the next attack thought was, oh my God, look at all these people in the lineup. Oh my gosh, are we going to have time? It's so busy in here. Instead of, look at all the people serving behind the line. Look at how they're working so hard to make sure everybody gets their order. Now, here's the thing. If I move into that state of all is well, I'm going to get my order in perfect time. But when you move or you're in a state of resistance to what is, you're not going to get your order, maybe, right? So again, I caught this thought. Like, so many attack thoughts. They are like a habit. And we are training the mind. And then I heard my higher self. I'm going to call my higher self over this next 2 hours Sai Baba, because, that's who ultimately we were going to be with in the energy of Sai Baba and the ashram. So I'm going to call my higher self Sai Baba. So I heard the voice of Baba say, you need to own that projection. You need to own that projection. Wow. That this lineup that's so long is the result of the thoughts I'm holding in my mind. Because the world is simply a reflection of the thoughts I'm holding in my mind. It has nothing to do with anything else but where I'm at. Wow. So the other thing I heard him say was, this is going to be a trip for you to practice mind training. Woo. Not just read in the books about, we've been reading the Course in Miracles. I've been reading the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Vedas, different Upanishad, different esoteric books and whatnot. And it's like, there's nothing else to read. And I heard Baba say, practice mind training. This is about practicing the mind training. Okay, so the Course in Miracles says mind training, doesn't it? This is a book in mind training. And actually, Baba says this is about concentration of mind, being disciplined and having one pointed focus on becoming aware of the thoughts in the mind, so you don't project them out. You own them, you pull them back. So I heard that. All right, so then lo and behold, the coffee came, we had our time, it was so wonderful. Then we check in, we get on the plane, and wouldn't you know, the first thing I'm thinking is, what? This airline? This is Malaysian Airlines. I feel like I'm sitting in a sardine can. There's not even enough room for the legs. There's not enough room for this or that. More attack thoughts. More attack thoughts. What happened to how blessed am I to be on this plane, to be flying to India, to enjoy what God would have me do? It is God doing all of this through me. Where am I? Right? When I am healed, I'm not healed alone. If I get back into alignment with my higher self, I'm going to sit on that plane and find it absolutely perfect, because my mind is one with God. So I'm just telling you about the attack thoughts. Okay, so I'm sitting there going, there's no room for my legs. Where am I going to put my bag? And then the people around me are saying the same thing because they're reflections of the thoughts that I'm holding, right? You are only going to hear what you are thinking or what you are saying. Baba says the whole universe is nothing but reflection, reaction, and resound. So now I'm like, what? I am really living this mind training. I am really living this mind training. Okay, so I turned it around. I started to say, how blessed am I to be sitting here on this plane? How blessed am I that God would choose me to go on this journey to India and to be on this plane with all my brothers and sisters in love, praise, and gratitude. How blessed am I to have this opportunity for this? There are many people that would love to fly on a plane to India. And I'm sitting here complaining because there's not enough leg space. What? Can you relate? When I am healed, I'm not healed alone. So when I'm one with God, I hold that space for myself and for you. And we all see things differently. So anyway, I got that one. So then we arrive in India. And of course, it's just so beautiful. I love India. I mean, to me, India is the motherland. And being in India is just being home. I just love it. And so there we were in Chennai. We were meeting with some business people. And it was so fabulous. Now at this point, I had no attack thoughts in my mind, right? It's like the miracle had occurred. Now, what is a miracle? The Course in Miracles says a miracle is a shift in perception. A miracle is an expression of love. And Baba says miracles are my visiting cards and they are inspired by love. So I had obviously, by doing the mind training and catching my projections and pulling them back, I was able then to be in a space of love. So when I was in India, what happened? I was extending love, receiving love, being in that space. And it really was wonderful. It's like, is it really worth staying separate from God? I mean, come on, think about it. When you're separate from God, what is the result of that? It's not good. You know, it winds up being or showing up in your life as anger. It winds up as sickness in the body. It winds up as, pride. Being separate from God, you're going to pay a price by being separate from God. Because I was just, thinking back on being on the plane and how I was complaining about the seat and the room and blah, blah, blah. And then when I got it and I went back into oneness, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. I was one with my Christ mind, with my Baba nature. I felt so comfortable and peaceful, and I was able to sleep and enjoy, and it was fabulous. But when I'm not one with God, I'm uncomfortable, I'm miserable, I'm antsy, I can't, get comfortable on the seat. I'm complaining in my mind. Maybe you don't know it, but in my mind, I'm complaining and la, la, la. So there is definitely a price to pay when we choose to be separate from God. There really is a price to pay for that. All right. So because I had been doing the mind training while I was on the plane, saying, okay, I need to train my mind to think differently and to be in oneness and to see everything is in divine perfection, as Buddha would tell us. Everything is okay as it is. And if I'm not okay with what is, it's because I am choosing to be separate from God. And that's why when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. So now I had moved into a place of love. And so when I arrived in India, I was in a loving space and it was just so fabulous. I mean, we were up all night, we went with our people to the factory and the people were so fabulous. They were all like this and so homaging and honoring and beautiful. Weren't they, Jamie? And, I just felt so loved by people I did not know. and it was just so glorious, and the food that they gave us to eat, and the tour of the factory, and the hospitality and the kindness, and it was I just felt so grateful to be alive, to be able to receive God's grace through the eyes of all these so-called strangers, to be able to receive God's grace through these beautiful people who, the women that were working in this factory with their little nets on their head, and they were so excited to bring us lunch, and they were smiling and shaking their head, and I just felt this gratitude well up in me for the blessings that God was serving me. God was serving me, and He was using these beautiful people to serve me, to serve us. I'll speak for me, but I know, those around me felt the same way, I'm sure. I just really felt so grateful, and it really occurred to me that God is giving me abundance in every moment of my life. God is gracing me beyond measure, you could say, with all this goodness coming to me. And I was in a space where I was open to receive it with this warmth in my heart for what was happening around me. And I really felt light, and it's so true, isn't it, that when you're one with God, when you're healed, when the mind is one, when you have joined with your Christ self, you feel like you're walking on water. You feel like you are made of light. In truth, we are made of light. We become so dense when we choose separation. We become so heavy, and we become heavy-hearted, and we begin to complain, and we begin to see error, or sin. We call it sin. We begin to see that in the world. And it's not a good place, and that's the price we pay for being separate from God. We just start to feel really, really low. But in this moment of being in oneness with God, I was showered by grace, and I heard Baba say that the first step in spiritual practice is being happy. Being happy. He says, when you become serious, you're outside of love. When you become too serious. And think of all the times during the day you become so serious about something, so rigid about something. And Baba says, happiness is the first step in your spiritual practice, to be happy. And I was so happy, just enjoying and being so in the moment. Being in the moment is the best place to be, because it's like you're the sunbeam attached to the sun, and you're in this beautiful energy of there's nothing else. And my mind, it was so interesting because my mind was empty. Those moments or those hours you may experience nothing in the mind. How fabulous is that? Because in these times, in this darkest time on our planet, which is the Kali Yuga, it's a darkest time where the consciousness is being wrung out of the poisonous thoughts and beliefs and concepts and toxicity that we've been carrying for years. And we're seeing the result of this toxicity right now on the planet in such a profound way. And I'm just going to sidetrack a little bit. It makes me think about when we go to Cambodia, there's a beautiful story on Angkor Wat, and it's from the Ramayana, and it's the story of the churning of the Milky Ocean, where you see the Devas and the Asuras, and there's a serpent, a snake, and they're tugging at it, and you're seeing these scenes of all kinds of funny things, like people with faces of pain and suffering, and then above that you see angels and all this. And this is representing where we're at right now, with this Kali Yuga, where we see the pulling, the conflict between the asuras, the mind, the monkey mind, the crazy evil thoughts, thoughts that are loveless thoughts, and then the thoughts of love, and this conflict that's going on. And the Kali Yuga, Baba says, is such a great time in that there's a speed up for us to heal our karma. And so we see this wringing out. You could almost say that in these times we are being wrung out like a wash rag. You wet a cloth and you wring it, and the water drips from the cloth that you wring out. And what's dripping from all of us right now is the poison and the toxins that we carry deep in the psyche. We are being wrung out of that. So it's a really awesome time to be alive, so that the speed up of this energy, in order for us to raise our vibration, is to be wrung out of the poison, toxins, toxic thoughts that we hold on to. And so that thought also came into my mind when I was in India. I was thinking about the Ramayana and the story of the churning of the Milky Ocean, and how you see this, this conflict that's going on our planet right now. So especially the crazy. It's just so crazy. But Baba said it'll go on for a while more yet, because we've been carrying lifetimes of karma. But in the story of the Ramayana, Shiva swallows or devours, the evil forces, so that the world would not be destroyed. And Baba is a representative of Shiva. So he does say that success will prevail and there will be peace on earth, but we have to be wrung out first of this karma that you're carrying. And the karma is just the beliefs and the concepts and all the nasties that we've wanted to hang on to maintain that separate self. And I heard Baba say so clearly, because you have to know, I've been reading Baba's discourses for years and years. I heard him say the golden age begins when I equals we. Isn't that beautiful? When I equals we. And right now we have this insatiable, desire to maintain our separate self, our separate identity. You're over there and I'm here. But Baba said no. Because I remember someone asked Baba, when does the golden age begin? And he said it begins for you individually when I equals we. Yeah, and I thought that was really profound. So anyway, so getting back to my story, there I was. We were in the factory. It was all wonderful. And then, we stayed at a really lovely hotel. We were at the Hyatt, in fact. It was beautiful. And I went to my room, and the attack thoughts started again. So I went in my room, and I'm like, this room stinks. Right? The first thing I said was like, what? This is the Hyatt. This room stinks. It smells like mildew. Like, this is not good. And this is just in my thoughts. And as I kept thinking that thought, the smell got worse. It got worse and worse. And I'm like, I can't stay in this room. This room stinks. So I went to Jamie and I said, Jamie, I think we need to change rooms because my room stinks like mildew. And then I had more going on with the story, like, this room costs a lot of money. It shouldn't stink. We're at the Hyatt. We should not have a stinky room. And so, we call down and, we get a new room. So I get the room below me, on the floor below me. So I get to that room and I'm in it for maybe 20 minutes and that room begins to stink too. I'm like, what? Why does the room stink? So then in my mind training, I had to pull back my projection and think about, okay, why is this happening? Why am I in not just one room, two rooms now that stink like mildew? Like, what is going on? What thoughts am I holding on to in my mind that I would attract this to me? Can you relate? Is there something in your life that you keep attracting and you keep blaming the outer circumstances? It's because, and you're not going to the root of the problem. Because the problem is not what's showing up in your life per se. The problem is that you're trying to change things in form without going to the root cause, which is the mind. I needed to go into my mind and find the attack thoughts, the judgments, or where I'm making something wrong. Where are you making something wrong in your life? In your past, in your present, or in your future? Where are you making something wrong? Where are you making someone wrong that you would wind up in a place where you could project that instead of owning that projection and taking it deep inside and saying, okay, these are the attack thoughts that I'm holding on to. This is what I'm making wrong in the world of time and space. This is what I'm making wrong, right? And again, our dear brother Gautama the Buddha said, see it as it is. Everything is just the way it is. Your thinking makes it wrong or bad. So I had to sit with that. I really did, because I made this trip about mind training. I really did. And I didn't tell, I was like saving it for you guys. So I was writing things down and, my reflections and all of this. And I was putting notes and, and so that I could share my journey with you with the hopes that you would be able to see for yourself that it's okay. It's okay. We're all human and we have these attack thoughts and we project our stuff and everything else, but we fail to go to the root cause. And this is what the avatars are asking us to do, pleading with us to do at this time during the Kali Yuga. And that is not to look at form, to see what's showing up in resound, reaction, and reflection, and to take it deeper and find the root cause for why that is showing up in your life. And yeah, thank you, Jen. Yeah, it's so fabulous to share it, isn't it? And I said and I asked Baba, I said, okay, what do I do with what do I do with this? And he's like, oh, just share it. It'll be good. Just share it. And I have to tell you, there was another thing. It's like, I don't want to share my projections because, I want to be special. I want you to think I'm special, that I don't have any of these attack thoughts, that I'm different from you. Yeah, you have attack thoughts because you're you, but I do the Course in Miracles, so I don't have attack thoughts. I'm special. And Baba's like, no. Just be my instrument. Be my instrument. It's meaningless. It's meaningless. It's all meaningless. And so, which is great. You get to laugh at it. But, this is another attack thought. I don't know if I want to share this because then people are going to see that I'm flawed. Oh, really? Really? Oh, but if I really share my deepest thoughts and judgments and whatever else is coming up, then, maybe I'll lose my place in the world as special. I mean, on and on and on. Can you relate? Can you find that in your own life? And I'm telling you, the only way that we can truly, truly be healed is to be in community with one another and not preach what's going on or who you need to be, but to really own the projections that we're throwing onto other people. Stop preaching. Baba's like, stop preaching and own your projections. Because there's nobody out there, everybody you see that you are saying they're this, that, and the other thing are all projections of your own self-hatred. And the more we project, there's a price to pay for that. This attraction to guilt, as they say in the Course in Miracles, the attraction to guilt comes with a price. And the price is sickness. It is anger. It is, well, you know what it is for you. I know what it is for me, right? So this just went on and on and on. So I sat in my room and I had to do some forgiveness work. I thought, what am I making wrong? What am I making wrong that I would be in two rooms that stink? And do they really stink? Or is it that I'm outside of God? Now, you can't go black and white here, because if you are in a toxic room where there's fumes coming out and it's like, come on, like still do the inner work and get yourself out of that toxic environment. But without doing the inner work, you are just changing form. You're moving things around in the world, getting a new room, getting a new whatever, husband, wife, food, whatever. But you haven't gone to the root cause. So I had to sit there and go to the root cause. What am I making wrong in my life? Who am I making wrong? Is there someone in my life that I am making wrong? Is there something in my life that I am making wrong? Because these are all projections and there will be a price to pay. And in that moment, as silly as it sounds, the price to pay was I wind up in a room that stinks. Okay? And I have to laugh at it because I was doing this healing work, forgiveness work, and just letting it all go. And I started to see the beauty. And I started to see the people cleaning the hotel and the love that they were giving. And it's God cleaning the hotel. It's God at the reception. It's God saying, do you need more in your room or whatever? It's all God. Miracles are my visiting cards. So miracles are expressions of love. And the revelation was, I am outside of God and I am complaining. Stop complaining and start praising and lifting everything to a higher vibration. So I sat and I did this forgiveness work, and I really had to look and be honest with myself. And I looked at this with Baba. I looked at my attack thoughts with the Holy Spirit or with Buddha, whoever that is to you, it doesn't matter. I looked at my attack thoughts with my higher power. Because if you look at your attack thoughts, just you, separate self you will say you are so ungrateful. How could you ever, do this? You are so ungrateful. Blah, 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 blah. Because without looking at this with a higher power, you will attack yourself. So I was looking at this with my higher power and laughing at it, beginning to go, oh my God, I got what I got, because that's the price you pay for projection. That's the price you pay for throwing your stuff onto someone else or onto something else, making something wrong in the world. There is nothing wrong in the world. I know. Even though you look out today, we go, the world is crazy. There's nothing wrong. Nothing. Heaven is here now. Really, when you get into that space of heaven, right? The trees, the birds, the flowers, the grace that's surrounding you, the juiciness of life. It's heaven. It's here now. But where are you? Where was I? Heaven was in the hotel room. It was so beautiful. But where was I? I had made something wrong in the world. I had made someone wrong somewhere. And it will show up. It will show up. You never get to escape your attack thoughts. Never. Even about the food you eat. And this is a big one. Because now we have so many things going on with food. People into veganism and vegetarianism, and I can't eat that because of this, and I can't eat that because of that. Nobody's eating anything with love. And love, no matter what, is the answer. Love is the answer. Wow. So many things came up that I was realizing, my goodness, I've been making this wrong. I've been making her wrong. I've been making him wrong. I've been making that wrong. There's nothing wrong. All I'm doing is projecting guilt. And what is guilt? It's the result of believing you're separate from God. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Separation and sickness, they're the same thing. Separation and anger, same thing. You can't be in Christ's mind and sick. Right? Oh my God. So because I had set my intention on this journey to India to practice the principles of A Course in Miracles, to practice the teachings of Sai Baba, wow. And to want to play the game full out so that I could heal my mind and be free of suffering and to be at peace. Peace is joy. And Baba says the first step is happiness. Be in joy. The Course in Miracles says make peace your goal. And Baba wrote the Course in Miracles. I mean, in fact, I have a couple quotes here that I wanted to read to you from Sai Baba, and they sound like they're coming from the Course in Miracles. So Baba says, all these things you see around you are your own reflections, as if in a mirror. We read that in the Course in Miracles, right? He also says there are many things that we see, hear, and experience. We think that it is the eyes that see, the ears that hear, and the mind that experiences. And how many times do we read in the Course in Miracles where Jesus says the body's eyes do not see, the body's ears do not hear. In fact, it is not so. Everything is reaction, reflection, and resound. Full stop. What? There's nothing. And Baba says, in this Kali Yuga, the speed up of the energy is so intense that it is wringing out the poison, like I said earlier, the poison and the toxin in every single person. And if you don't raise your vibration to be in a state of love and come from that place, the intense vibrations coming from this world, from what's going on geophysically in the world, will cause you to go mad. Baba says there will be mad, mad, mad people. Insanity will abound because there are people that cannot handle the vibrations. They cannot handle what's happening. But he said, I am calling my people. All people. And Jesus said, all are called, few choose to listen. All people to do the work. And now it's not about reading. It's about having the experience of owning a projection, seeing that everything happening around you is resound, reflection, and reaction coming from your own projections. To really see that and to live the teachings, to really live it and make it a lifelong practice. And it's going to require concentration of mind. It's Jesus calls it mind training. Baba calls it concentration of mind and one-pointed. Buddha said you must be, one-pointed in your focus. And now is the time that we have to do that more than ever. Okay. So now I wrote down different things along my journey, and I'm just going to read them to you and tell you my experience as they come up. All right. So again, there's a price to pay by remaining to be separate from yourself, from your higher self. There's a price to pay by choosing to be separate from your brothers and sisters. There's a price to pay for that. I'm over here and I'm better than you. There's a price to pay for that. I'm over here and you don't deserve to be where I am because you're not as smart as me. There's a price to pay for that. It's called sickness. It's called anger. It's called resentment. it bubbles up in you as something in form. So there is a price to pay. There is a price to pay by remaining to be separate from God. You know, you can never be separate from God because we came out of the mind of God. But when you believe that you are not with God, there is a price to pay. And the price to pay is whatever you're experiencing in your life right now that makes you uncomfortable, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is the result of you choosing to be separate from someone, a brother, a sister, you choosing to be separate from your higher self, or you choosing to be separate from God. So I got that really clearly on a deeper level, and I think that's really profound. And now it's for you to choose to have that experience where when you are suffering with any kind of an ailment, to stop and say to yourself, who have I made wrong? What have I made wrong in this world that I would be paying this price? Yeah, so that's something. Okay, the other thing I wrote down here is we have such an insane attraction to guilt. And what is guilt? It's sickness. What is guilt? It's anger. We are attracted to sickness and anger, frustration. We are attracted to irritation. We are attracted to being prideful. We are attracted, you know, guilt is just another name for all of these low vibration emotions. So what is your attraction to guilt? What is it? Like, do you get off on being sick? And it's not that you get off on being sick, it's just that you like to talk about it. And you didn't go to the root cause, you know, or you get off on being angry. And so you didn't go to the root cause of the anger, things like that. So I wrote down, look at your thoughts. You've got to know what you're up against, the attraction you have to being sick, the attraction that you have to being angry or depressed, the attraction you have to being victimized. This is huge, this victim one. I'm a victim. Wham, poor me. That's the price you pay for choosing to be separate from God, living in victim consciousness in so many ways. You know, that's a good one to take a look at. Also, attacking. These attack thoughts, or where you feel like someone's attacking you, where you take things personally, right? This is the attraction to guilt. Because if you know that you're not the body, if you know that you are one with God, then you are invulnerable. So look at the attraction to guilt, or, you know, where you feel like someone's not treating you in the way that you think they should be treating you. You know, they should be acknowledging me. They should be, you know, placing me, you know. It's like the king yesterday. Oh, he had his coronation. We watched it. It was so interesting to watch. I love watching my attack thoughts come up. Oh, look at the king. He thinks he's so big. Attack thought. Oh my God, let's heal that. Making something wrong. Making something wrong. Making the king wrong. We said, oh, his eyes are too close together. Oh, really? Well, what are you making wrong about your own physical self? That you would think his eyes are too close together, right? And then I was really bad, and I said, he looks like a possum. Oh, that's so bad. Let's look at that with Jesus. Jesus laughs. Okay, and Jesus says, no, he does not look like a possum.
He looks like a red-faced monkey from Japan.
He looks like a red-faced monkey from Japan, Jamie said. I mean, we were just like attacking him right, left, and center, getting right into it, not even realizing, going completely unconscious, not even realizing that we are projecting thoughts, and there will be a price to pay. And the price to pay for that will be some form of discomfort in the body, in the mind, in the emotions, right? So I said to Baba last night, oh my God, I called King Charles a possum. And he said, what don't you like about your physical body? What don't you like about your physical body? That you would see someone as having eyes too close together. That's owning a projection. Whoa, Resound, reaction, right? Reflection. Yeah, there's no escaping it. This is deep. I mean, I'm giving you my deepest, like, what's going on in my mind, okay? All right. And then I had to stop and say to myself at the end of the night, and this was just last night because we watched the coronation, early last night. And so I thought, is this like, do I really want this? Like, is this all worth it? Like, what? What? And it's such a habit. It's such a habit to project. Okay. So then I wrote down, you're either in your story of man, or you're in Christ's mind. You can't be in your story and be in the mind of Christ. Because if you're in your story, you've got a story going on. And it's a story of being, a victim or poor me, I'm sick, I got this, I got that, complaining, whining, calling up people to get people to agree with you or whatever. You cannot be in the Christ mind and have a story going on at the same time. So that I wrote down. Okay, here's another thing I wrote down. Miracles are my visiting card. They move you closer to the light. That's Baba. They inspire transformation of the heart. And I think as we look out on the world today, you can see it's all headspace. People living out of their head, not from the heart. Or as Buddha said, the heart-mind, when the heart and mind are joined in oneness. But there's that separation. So people are living, you're seeing this living in wrong-mindedness. So here are 3 things that occurred that I called a miracle, a blessing, being showered by Baba's grace. So we arrived in the ashram, and I had no idea that it was Sai Baba's 12th year celebration of his samadhi, which was really kind of auspicious. I mean, it's a stone there with Baba buried inside. I mean, but just the fact that we were being drawn to go there at this time, because we actually were thinking of doing the business, going to the ashram first, and then doing the business after. And then somehow we shifted it, and we did the, business first and the ashram next. Had we done it the other way, we wouldn't have had that experience. So we were there, and it was so wonderful. And then I said, oh my God, this is just so beautiful and wonderful, and thank you, God, thank you, this is so sweet. And we got to the hotel, and we checked in, and then the next thing they did was upgrade us to the executive suites. I mean, how wonderful is that? And I just felt overwhelmed. The whole time I was in the ashram, actually, I felt like crying. My heart was so full. It was just so full, just for everything, not just for the upgrade to an executive suite, but just for the love that I was feeling for the whole time I was there. And so, I had my own room, and it had everything. It was so beautiful, the shower, it was just so beautiful. And I was just in such gratitude for that. And then the last thing, there were many more things, but the final thing that I thought was a blessing of, showers of grace from the divine was that India had been really, really hot. The week before we arrived, it was like 42, something like that. And when we got there, it had fallen back down to, I think, 38, 37, something like that, or 36. But by, each day went on, it was getting hotter. So on that last day that we were there, it was really, really hot. And the locals were saying, Baba, it had rained the last time, and it brought the weather, it made it cool. And so the last day that we were there, we were waiting for our taxi, and it was hot. There was no electricity. All the electricity had gone out. And suddenly it started raining. And it was just pouring down. And you could feel the cool weather. And really, can you feel that? My heart was so full. I was just so full. And I thought, this is heaven. This is heaven, not the place. this feeling. This feeling is heaven. It's a feeling of oneness. It's a feeling of bliss. It's a feeling of God is, I am, all is well. It's so fabulous. And so we took the taxi to the airport. By the way, the airport in Bangalore is so beautiful. Do you remember going there years ago, Sue? The airport was different, okay? It is so brand new, beautiful. It's just lovely. So, and that was it. And then, of course, my projection came back when we got on the plane. It's like, oh my God, I'm on the sardine can again. And I had to catch it. And I had to see how quick we move from love to fear. To see the airplane and the seats and whatever else I decided was wrong is nothing but fear. I'm not going to be okay because I'm sitting in what I call a sardine can. And I caught it right away and shifted it right away, owned it, and fell asleep, slept the whole way, and it was fabulous. So that was something good. All right, here's what else I wrote down. Mind training. Baba calls it concentration of mind, discipline, and focus. It is to be so aware of the thoughts in the mind that are projections, that you are tempted, or there's just this urge to want to project it. And so this, I really feel for myself, and I'm sure many of you out there are feeling the same thing, that, okay, stop reading the books and start practicing in a big way. In a big way. And by the way, that's why I love to do, our trips that we do to Egypt, India, all kinds of things. I've got lots of things coming up. We're going to Egypt. And of course, it's just so wonderful because you're with a group, you're with a community of people, and you get to see your own projections. And you get to cleanse the mind. And you get to own them. So doing this work as a group traveling is so profound. And I love it when someone gets the wrong roommate, which is the perfect roommate, which is totally reflecting your stuff. It's just amazing. So, I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm so grateful that Baba is with us, or the Christ or Buddha using us, and get on with the mission. I heard this a lot too. I heard the voice of Baba say, help me with my mission. Help me with my mission. And the mission is peace on earth. The mission is for the lion and the lamb to lie down together. The mission is to be an expression of love. The mission is the miracle. And it requires vigilant mind training, discipline. It just, and I'm up for it. I could feel that I went to a deeper level. Can you hear that I'm saying that? And maybe you are too. Going to a deeper level and really owning your stuff and really noticing when you're complaining or when you're making something wrong in the world, because you now really get more than ever that you're going to pay a price for that by making whatever it is wrong. Yeah. So I wrote this down as well, miracles, and this is the third principle in the Course in Miracles of the 50 miracle principles. The third one is miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. And the real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. It just is so wonderful. To live the miracle, okay, this is what I wrote down in my journal, is that I've got to own my own projections. And own them meaning see them coming from my own attraction to guilt. And then to say to the Holy Spirit, can you take this? Can you change my mind? Can you help me see this differently? Because I don't want to carry this anymore. I want to be liberated from suffering. I really want that. Whether that's, an illness in the body or, psychological, whatever. I just want to be liberated from suffering. So the big thing that I wrote here that really hit me was, look at the places in your life where you're not loving, Deanna. Look at the places where you're not loving, right? That's where you're not loving yourself. So look at the people that you're not loving. And that's like accepting them as they are. Look at the people that you make wrong. These are the people that you judge and attack. And it's a boomerang. It's just like, this is how you attack yourself, by making someone else wrong. They should be living their life this way. Well, how is it that you're living your life that you're not happy? That you would project that onto them? How do you know that they're not happy? You don't. You're making it up because you're projecting your own stuff. Like, this is how deep it goes, okay? Where you're not loving yourself is where you are making somebody wrong, where you are attacking or not loving another human being. This is really big to take a look at. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for yourself. And the atonement is to be without guilt before time was, before you started making up a story, to know that you are one with God. We have to start each day, just sit on the edge of your bed, put your feet on the floor, sit down and don't get up till you feel that happiness and say, I accept the atonement for myself. I'm going to start this day with this premise. I am what God created. And I'm going to set my intention for this day that I want to have a joyous, peaceful, creative day. That's what I want. Then I heard Baba, because he says this a lot, and I wrote it down to share with you all. Baba says, you are in a dream body, in a dream creation, having a dream experience, whether you're asleep or awake. Wake up and know you are the self with a capital S. The ego and the body are irrelevant, meaningless. They don't exist. You're God. That is the truth. These are the exact words from Baba. So, then I wrote down as my days went on, these are just random thoughts I'm sharing, okay? Without belief in separation, there is no separate self to be sick. Without the belief in separation, there's no separate self to be sick. So the only reason you're sick is because you believe you're separate from God. And this one came to mind because I happened to see the book, The Disappearance of the Universe. Do you remember that book? Right? I saw that book on a shelf. And I thought, wow, I am the universe. And I was thinking, the more I detach from form, the more I let go of form and get back into alignment with my God self, I disappear. And when I disappear, so does my sickness. And so does my anger. And so does my whatever. So thank you to our beautiful Disappearance of the Universe. And I think that book was written by, do you remember who wrote that book? Does anybody remember who wrote that book? I can't remember the author. Sue knows. Yeah, The Disappearance of the Universe. I read it years ago, and I just saw it again, and that's what made me think about,
Gary Renard.
Oh, Gary Renard. Thanks, Jamie. Gary Renard.
It was Sue.
Or Sue.
I read it.
Thanks, Sue. Gary Renard. Yeah. So the more I forgive form, the more I forgive the sickness, the more I forgive, the universe disappears. And I am the universe. So the more I forgive or I give forth of the attack thoughts, I disappear. This attachment to form, this attachment to the sickness or whatever I'm dealing with. And I'm using sickness because when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And that whole lesson talks a lot about sickness. So that's so cool. And I've had that experience actually of being in such a loving place that whatever I had going on in my body was gone. It disappeared. So was it real? If it can disappear, is it real in the first place? If it can change, is it real? No. Because only that which never changes is real. Only love is real. It never changes form. Or it never changes. It might change form to form, but different expressions of love. But if I'm sick 1 minute and then suddenly my headache is gone, is it real? No. No. And the only reason that you would, be so into your sickness is because you want to be the center of your universe. The universe you made, this insane universe. You want to be the center of it and prove that you are someone and you're special because you have this sickness. You have this thing going on. That's the only reason. And until you decide, right, I don't want that anymore. I want to return to God. And the thing is, you never left God, but you believe you did. So, I want to be one with my Father, Mother, God, and I want to get to the root cause of this sickness. What is the root cause of what's going on in my body? Instead of trying to change it, like the form of it, like take a pill or, and you do all that anyway, but what is the root cause? And I'm telling you, the root cause is you've made something wrong in your life. You've made somebody wrong in your life. And without looking at the root cause, I'm repeating myself again, but it's so important, you will put all the focus on the sickness. You will put all the focus on the body, and you will say, I can't do that because I can't eat that food, because I can't do this, because I can't do that, because I have this, because I have that. I can't do all that stuff because, and you'll have the whole story going on. You're in the story. You're not in the Christ mind. And this is what we're being called to do now, is to get to the root cause, the mind that's making it up, and the result of what the mind is making up. The result is the suffering that you're experiencing in your body, in your emotions, and whatever. There is a root cause. Again, what are you making wrong? Yeah. So I wrote that down a lot. Okay. Forgiveness, again, the Course in Miracles tells us, this came into my mind while I was away. Forgiveness says that what I think is happening has not occurred, except in the dream. And Baba says you are in a dream world, in a dream body, in a dream creation. So forgiveness says that what I think is happening, it hasn't happened, except in my dream. And in my dream, if I'm looking over there at you, you're in my dream. So who are you to me? I projected you. You are in my dream. Baba says, have humility. This word came up a lot for me. Humility. Humility. Baba said, I am the doer. Humble yourself. I am the doer. He says, you do not know what is in your own best interest. And aren't we told that in the Course in Miracles? You do not know what's in your own best interest. You have your whole day planned out, right? All the things that we do, the agendas, and it won't be okay if I don't have this, and it won't be okay if I don't have that. Baba says, humility. I am the doer. And I know what you need to evolve your soul. You don't. You think you're here to make money. You think you're here for all these reasons that you say you're here for, but you're here for one reason, and that is to clear the blocks to the presence of love. And if you being in a room that stinks makes you angry, you just found a block to the presence of love. You think you should be in a room that doesn't stink. But I know that if I put you in a room that stinks, you're going to go to the root cause. Because you are my devotee. You have said yes to me. And when you say yes to me, I stretch you, bake you, knead you. I do all kinds of things. So I'm going to put you in a stinky room. And yeah, you might attack it for a few minutes. But if you've done some work over the last few years, and I know you have, you're going to stop and go, oh, I get it. I'm making something wrong in form. Oh my goodness. That's the work of your higher self. To give you what's needed for your awakening. There's a saying in the 12-step program, in many recovery programs, God gives you what you need, not what you want. Because you need that to grow. I needed to be in that stinky room to discover where I'm making something wrong in form. I needed that. Okay. Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, in so many words, this came into my mind, I will be healed as I let God teach me to heal. I will be healed as I let God teach me to heal. And I heard Baba say, you cannot heal yourself. You cannot heal yourself. Because you're not a self. You cannot heal yourself. Maintain humility, and I will do all things through you. Give me your sickness. Give me your sadness. Give me your grief. Give me. Of yourself you can do nothing. It is the Father within you that doeth all things through you. You cannot heal yourself. Hallelujah. Praise God. I'm trying to figure out how to fix this, how to heal that, what supplement I need for this, what I need to do for that. Don't go black and white on me, because if the Spirit guides you to do whatever, like the Spirit guided me to do a liver cleanse, okay? I shared that with you Friday night. So don't go black and white, because the Holy Spirit's curriculum is very individualized for every single person, all right? But give up being your own healer. Give up being your own healer. Because you can't heal anything. It is the higher power in you that will do all things through you. Okay? The other thing I wrote down, because there were so many things going on in my mind, I was having these revelations, and one of the things I wrote down is, if you are fighting reality, I heard Baba say, you don't trust me. If you are fighting reality, in other words, if you are fighting against what is, you have no trust in God. In other words, I'm put in a stinky room. I put myself there by how I think. Right? And if I'm arguing with what is, it's because I'm not trusting God. I'm not trusting my higher self. And what that would mean as we break it down is that is exactly what I needed to grow. So trust what's happening in your life. It may not be what you want. It may not be what makes you happy in that moment, but guess what? It's what you need, because you are seeing a projection in time and space that you are not owning. So it's what you need. Trust what's happening now. It's for our evolution. I just love that. And again, Jesus tells us in the Course in Miracles, this came to me as I heard the voice of Baba. I heard Jesus say, resign as your own teacher. Oh, hallelujah. Praise God. Resign as your own teacher. Then I heard Baba with his ABCs. You know, like we hear different things, you know, ABC, awareness before change. But Baba has such a play on words. These three came to mind for me. And I heard Baba say, avoid bad company. Avoid bad company, ABC. And now if you're really spiritual, you'd be thinking, well, if you're all spiritual, why would you want to avoid bad company? And Baba would say, because you're just a little sapling. You're like a little seed that's been planted in the ground and it's just peeked through the soil. It's not strong enough yet, so the goats and the sheep and the cattle are going to come and chew you up. You got to put a fence around that little sapling until it grows and grows and grows into a really strong tree that just throws shade for meters upon meters, where people come to you and sit under your tree for shade. Avoid bad company, because you don't have the armor, you don't have what's required, what's needed. You're not aware of it yet to make yourself strong enough to deal with it. So for now, you may have to move outside of it, not move away, but just, do you know what I'm saying? It's like this. If you are in recovery, if you are an alcoholic and you are in a 12-step program and you are in recovery, you don't want to go into a bar. You just don't. If you are a gambler, you don't want to go to a casino, because you're just a little sapling and you are not strong enough to deal with that influence around you. Only a Buddha, a Christ-conscious mind, it's like the tree of life that has grown to the point of being so stable that it has shade. It's not being swayed or moved by anything that comes near it. You are moved by things that come near you. You are influenced by things that you are around. Right? This is what he means, avoid bad company. The other thing is, he says, of course, awareness before change. We become aware of the thoughts in our mind so that we can change those thoughts. We give them over to the Holy Spirit and we move back into right-mindedness. Another one, he says, ABC, always be careful. Always be careful that the ego is lurking around every corner and it's just there waiting to pull you back. Always be careful. And those are really cute. So that came up for me. The other thing that I wrote down was, what's happening doesn't matter. What's happening doesn't matter. What matters is you awakening to yourself. All these things that we do in life are ultimately meaningless. They really don't matter. What matters is us awakening to our higher self and living in alignment with truth. Okay, and then again, I could hear the marching band playing, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. Oh, wow, I heard this walking to the meditation tree in the morning. You know, we sing that bhajan, so powerful. Baba kept saying that, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. Accept the atonement for yourself. Start your day by saying, I am God, I am God, I am not different from God. Clear the blocks to the presence of love. That's the only reason that we're here. The only reason that we're here. We're not here to be famous. We're not here to, sit on a throne. We're not here for any other reason but to clear the presence, to clear these blocks to the presence of our love. And so whether you're, King Charles, he's got his crown now and his scepters. Cool, man. But he's still here to clear the blocks to the presence to love, right? And Catherine, she's so pretty with her dress, everything. Woo! Awesome. I guess Alexander McQueen is her designer. Cool, awesome. She's still here to clear the blocks to the presence of love. All of us are here for that. So a good question to ask yourself is, where am I blocking love? I wrote that down. Where am I, Deanna? Where am I blocking love? You want that love to flow. You want to be able to speak easy, to be lighthearted, to listen, to care, to have compassion, all of that. But where am I blocking that? Okay. The other thing I wrote down is we need to see that everything we're thinking, everything that you're thinking is your projection. And we got to find all the thoughts in the mind that are making something wrong, something bad. We have to find all those thoughts in the mind. Yeah, because again, the price we pay. You can see I wrote that down a few times, right? All right. And I wrote this down. It's like, oh my God, Bob, every time I look at you, every time I feel you, every time I hear you say, I am omnipresent, there is no place where I am absent. I felt emotional. I had no words. Just this overwhelming feeling of oneness with God. And again, I wrote this down. The golden age begins when we say I equals we. So who is outside of your we? Our, right? Seeing yourself as separate. That's when we'll be in the golden age. Okay. The other thing I heard Baba say is what you want, what you desire is totally meaningless. Oh, what? Baba, what do you mean? It's totally meaningless. I gave a lot of meaning to that. I have a lot of desires. And Baba says, yeah, what you want, what you desire is meaningless. What matters most of all, okay, is God's will. God's will for your life. That's a different way of being. What is your will for my life? Yeah. What you want, what you desire is meaningless. What's really important is God's will. And when you allow God's will to flow through you, to manifest through you, it's the end of suffering. It's the end of the Kali Yuga and the beginning of the golden age in your own heart. When you allow God's will to manifest itself through your life, in your life. You've given up all, seeking and trying to make it work. And you've entered into a state of surrender. And the true meaning of surrender means to be okay with what is. Just to be so cool with what is now. How wonderful. And the golden age, when we move into this, age of, or, the new earth, as they're calling it, or the fifth dimensional frequencies, all of that, it came so clear. I could just feel it, that when we are absolutely free of low vibrational emotions, such as greed and anger and lust and pride and, all of that, and we live in this oneness and really caring about each other, and being in community with each other. And, you're hearing it. A lot of people are saying, I don't want to go there. I don't want. And I just hear the voice of the Christ mind saying, what you think you want could kill you. Because I know what you need to grow. To be in community is tough because you're going to see yourself reflected. But you need it because I need to wring you out. You're still carrying toxins from lifetimes of believing that you are a separate self. Right? So that became really clear. So I think this is so special and so wonderful because I've had this experience in my life, and I know you have too. Basically, I'm a pretty happy person. I got my stuff. I'm sharing my mind with you. But I feel pretty happy most of the time, and I have to say that the happier you are, the more God showers grace upon you. Happiness, joy, and grace kind of are one. Not kind of, they are one. So when Baba says, You're here to be happy. And the only way to be happy is to develop humility and let me manifest my will through you. I need your eyes to see my own glory. I need your ears to listen to Beethoven, who is also me. I need your words. I need you to be my instrument so that I can see myself in the world of phenomena. And so the more you surrender to the moment and you just be okay with what is, and the Course in Miracles would say it another way. It's like, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom? That's just Baba saying, let my will manifest through you. It's effortless. How blessed am I? So the more happy you are, which is the first step in your spiritual practice, is to attain a state of joy, happiness, which is peace. The more you are showered with grace, by grace, for grace, right? I could see, thinking about what's going on in the world and the news. I do like listening once in a while to the news, and I don't have any judgments about watching TV. I don't have judgments about watching news because it's just all part of the Leela. I love spiritual people. I'm spiritual. I don't watch the news. Okay, well, whatever. We're all on an individual path, and that's cool. But, I like looking at things like that and noticing, where I am projecting. So it's another tool that helps me to know where I'm projecting. So looking out in the world and hearing the news, we see that there's an uptick in mental problems. There's an uptick in people's addictions. The fentanyl thing going on in the West is just incredible. I think I read a statistic the other day that the death from fentanyl or the addiction is up 279%. It's absolutely insane, right? And so, again, I was sitting thinking this is the result of the vibrations, of the raising of the vibrations that's happening in this Kali Yuga time, that we are moving into a new frequency, and a lot of people can't handle it. So we really have to stay vigilant. We have to vibrate in a consciousness of truth, in the consciousness of love. And if we all fall off, we're all human. I know the other day I had a thing come up where I had an expectation, and I became aware of it after the fact. And I was really grateful for the experience, because what I learned through that expectation was, where don't I ask for what I need? Where don't I ask for what I need, right? It was so profound. And it's like, you want to throw it onto someone else because you've expected that they should know. You've expected that they would get it. But how are they going to know? You didn't speak up. So, all of these are lessons God would have me learn, so that I can remove the blocks to the presence of love and get on with the task at hand, which is peace on earth. I want liberation. I want moksha. That's what I want. So, we've got to vibrate in this consciousness of love, truth, peace, and joy. And then I wrote down again about the churning of the Milky Ocean, because that came into my mind so clearly. Our galaxy is a spiral, the Milky Way, and we are moving from one age, which is actually not really an age in terms of years. It's just a consciousness. The Theta Yuga, the Dwarpa Yuga, the Kali Yuga, all the different yugas according to the Vedas, they are simply levels of consciousness, and we break them down in terms of age. And Sri Yukteswar in the Holy Science says that this is a 24,000 to 26,000 year process, but it's actually levels of consciousness, and we are in the darkest time and the lowest vibration of the consciousness. But Baba came at this time to, an avatar will always be born at a time when darkness is the heaviest, when the karma is the heaviest. A teacher will come, a master will come. Buddha came, Jesus came, Rama came, Krishna came, Baba came, Shirdi Baba came to help raise the consciousness of the planet. So Baba says, be vigilant, watch your mind, watch your thoughts, because the effects of this churning of the Milky Ocean, the Kali Yuga time, this is going to go on for some time. I heard him say that so clearly. And so it just, he kept saying, I want my devotees to help me complete my mission, which is to be a miracle worker, to be an expression of love in action in every moment. And it's such a beautiful calling, but it's a high calling, and it demands, it's not easy. It is not easy. And getting into community, being with people, is the best way to remove and clear the blocks to the presence of love. But you will want to do the opposite. You will want to, the ego's so tricky, you will want to stay home and go, I don't want to be there because they're like that. Anytime you find yourself going, they're like that, you've made it wrong, because you're attracted to guilt and you're just projecting and all of that. So yeah. What else did I write down here? I think that's all my notes. Yeah. That's all my notes. That is all my notes. But from lesson, and we will, because I call this A Course in Miracles and More, I just don't want to read. I just don't want to read the book. I've been reading the book for 30 years. I just don't want to read the book, but I want to use the Course in Miracles as a foundation. It's Dharma. And, being that I have been a devotee of Sai Baba for many years, and Dharma for many years, thanks to my beautiful father and my mom too, I just don't want to read. I want to talk about experiences. I want to talk about all the wonderful teachers in the world that are bringing us so much. I want to talk about people like you and your experiences and how you have grown, and I want to be, that. So I'm changing the name. We're going to present it in June. I won't tell you what it is, but I was given this wonderful new title to put out ACIM along with the podcast, and it has a whole new title and a whole new take. So that'll be coming up in June. I think Jamie was saying she's getting it all together and we'll be ready to post it in June. So I'll be bringing lots of things, but I'll always be referring to the Course in Miracles and other beautiful Dharma texts as well. So one of the things that I took from this lesson, though, is, where is it here? Is this one.
Now playing Apple Podcasts.
Oh. What?
Were you?
No, I didn't touch
Not me.
anything. Oh my God, what happened?
Maybe just mute it.
That is so weird. My computer said now playing Apple Podcasts. I'm like, what? I did not do anything. You saw me. I was just sitting here. Okay. All right. So this is from the lesson 137. Jesus says, sickness is a retreat from others and a shutting off of a joining. You've made someone wrong. You've made yourself wrong. You've made God wrong. You've made something wrong. Sickness is a retreat from others and a shutting off of joining. It becomes a door that closes on a separate self and keeps it isolated and alone. Sickness is isolation. So we'll go deeper into I'll pull more things out around the lesson, but let's just take a few minutes, guys. Open up, let's talk about everything that I said. Maybe there's something in there that you really related to and you want to share with, others that are on Zoom today. That would be really awesome to do that. Did something jump out for you? If so, you can share it. Where's the thing?
It's on the floor.
It's on the floor.
Okay. Just for those on Facebook, for some reason your comments are not coming into the stream. So if you make a comment on Facebook, I'll just read it out for Mom.
Okay. Because we have about 20 minutes left, so why not we do that?
And on Zoom, you can just raise your hand and I'll send a request to unmute.
Can you get that? Okay.
Oh, earlier on, Lydia Lubon says hello.
Oh, Lydia, how are you? You know, I thought about you a lot lately. That's so funny.
And Michael says always be compassionate. That was a bit earlier too.
That's beautiful. You know, oh, here's something that I can share while you're all thinking about what you want to talk about. Okay, this is from Byron Katie. I really like Byron Katie. She has many books out. I think one of her first books, I think it's called Loving What Is, something like that. But here's something that she says. You know, she doesn't really call herself like enlightener. She's above it all. But, you know, just reading her book and her experience, you can see her as a human being that's somewhat, I would say, kind of highly evolved. Like, she has gone through a lot in her life, and she's had cancer, she's had blindness, osteoporosis, and she says she finds all of this irrelevant to her state of mind. Okay, she says, I have no fear of death, and this is what she says. This is her quote. You have to be born before you can fear dying, and there is nothing born but a belief system. And we identify as the person we believe ourselves to be, and that can never be. So who lives? That is a great quote. Let me read it again. You have to be born before you can fear dying, and there is nothing born but a belief system. And we identify as the person we believe ourselves to be, and that can never be. So who lives? That's really good. And then I took this from the Bible. This is something Moses said. Moses comes before the children of Israel, and he says, I have set before you life or death, blessing or curse. Choose life. And that's from Deuteronomy. Yeah. Okay, so I'm done sharing. Does anybody else want to share? Okay. Okay. If that's it, then we're going to call it a day, because I feel really complete. I feel that, you know, I've shared my deepest self with you and all that I went through and on my journey. And I hope it's helped you in some way, that it gives you something to reflect upon in your own life. And I continue to reflect upon it because it was so profound. And, oh, there's just one more thing. You know what? I just kind of never run out of words. It's so crazy. But anyway, when we were in Puttaparthi, we bought a bunch of drums. I know, we bought some tablas, and we bought a doumbak, and we just bought some drums, a tanjira, and different things. And we went to a shop that I didn't know was there, but apparently Jamie had been in that shop 20 years ago, and the fellow's name is Ravi. I said, oh my God, his drumming was so unbelievably amazing. So he, in his love, played for us seriously for like 20 minutes, and he's played all over the world. He's just amazing, and he's played for Baba, and he does the bhajans, or he had done the bhajans, but he told us his story, and it was just absolutely beautiful how, when Baba died, he was talking about when Baba left his body and how destitute he felt, because to him Baba was his mom and dad, he was just everything. And but he, after a few months of this depression of having lost Baba's physical presence at the ashram, he had a miracle happen, and there was a photo of Sai Baba in his store, and actually that photo was really beautiful. But on the photo in his room where he does his puja, Baba had manifested the beautiful divine nectar, and I've had that nectar, and it's a taste that's not of this world. I can't even, and this is what Ravi was saying, it's a taste that you can't describe. It's otherworldly. And this nectar was pouring from the picture, and he just cried because he knew that Baba's omnipresent, and he was able then to, continue on with his work and whatnot. So we were entertained by Ravi a few times, and it was his birthday when his birthday was Friday, and no, Thursday, I think, Thursday or Friday, and just 2 days before Jamie's, and for his birthday he gave us a gift. And I just thought that was so beautiful. He says on his birthday, he goes to the old folks' home and he serves, and he wants to give back on his birthday. So he gave us each a beautiful Rudraksha bead from Nepal, along with a little statue. And just the giving of his love, the giving of his talent. And he would say, "It's all Baba, it's all Baba." And he was so joyous and happy. And it was just so much fun to sit with him, because we want to be with people that feel like love. They're not complaining. They're not anything. They're in their humility. They're just letting God's will come through them. And it was beautiful. And there were many things like that went on. So, do you have any of his playing, Jane? Any of his recordings? We don't, eh?
No.
Oh, maybe we can find one.
Yeah, I have them, but I don't have a way to get them.
Okay,
yet.
maybe we can do that another
Yes.
time. And and then one last thing. Let me just close with with this. So we all have our addictions, right? We all have the places in our life where we go unconscious. So I went unconscious in a fabric shop. I know. I just did. And I was sitting in Mount Vesuvius, surrounded. My mountain was fabric. Lots of fabric for Punjabi suits, right? And of course, then I, had the guy make the Punjabi suits, but I had to laugh after because I thought, I didn't even need those. What was I doing? I completely went unconscious. Completely. So that's another one. Look at the places in your life where you go unconscious and the addiction takes over, whatever that addiction is for you, right? So that was another one.
Sue's got her hand up.
Oh, Sue. Hi, Sue. Okay. Yes.
Okay. I am muted. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Yes. Thanks for sharing your experience.
You're welcome.
And actually, this evening before the call, you see how one is healed, it comes through to others. I could so relate. I was preparing, I have a sale tomorrow. And so I was having to load up my car, I chose to load up my car tonight, but I found myself like, why am I doing this? I have to pack all this stuff up. Yeah, and but you know what? It turned around, because I then went to, well, you've got the cart. Aren't you lucky to have this cart? And I just acknowledged myself for how I put it all together.
That's awesome.
And and then the rest of it became easy.
That's
but
awesome.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's coming through all the way across the oceans, because I remembering I shifted that quite quickly.
Oh, I just love how we're, catching it and being able to shift it back into appreciation for what's showing up. And yeah, that's wonderful, Sue. I love it.
Yeah, I've been so looking forward to this for months now, getting prepared, and it's been really, come with quite ease, and being in my joy of sewing. And in that moment was like, destroying it until I caught it.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
So-
And so tomorrow your day is going to be fabulous, and you are just going to attract so many people to your booth, and they're going to be there because of the love that you are. And that love is going to have a good result. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to let me know.
I will.
Okay, awesome.
I'll let you know for sure soon.
Oh, thank you, Sue. And, good luck tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks for sharing.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
yeah. So, all right. So, why don't we just close our eyes for a few minutes and close in a prayer? I think that would be really nice. And so, let's just go ahead and sit up nice and tall. Your eyes are closed. And we begin by breathing in love and breathing out fear. And we breathe in again, a big breath of love. And we let go of projections, breathing out fear. And one more big breath. We're breathing in what is. I accept what is. And I exhale and I release worry of tomorrow. Now we just breathe into our heart and feel that our heart is being transformed in every breath by the grace of God. And we feel ourselves becoming ever more humble, allowing the will of God to manifest through us. We allow the will of God to use our eyes. It wants to see itself in this beautiful world. And we allow the will of God to use our words. It wants to inspire and speak truth. And we allow God to use our ears because it wants to hear itself in the world of phenomena, in nature, the birds, and through people and dogs barking and cats meowing and all the sights and sounds. God needs you to see himself in this world. And we give God our heart in this moment, and we ask that God manifest his will in every heartbeat, that each beat of our heart is in perfect divine resonance with truth and peace and love and joy. And as we breathe, we say, God, use me. Use my life. Use my life. Keep me steadfast. Keep me on the straight and narrow. Help me to always be careful of the ego lurking around the corner. Help me to always be aware of the thoughts in my mind, that I might pull back these projections. Help me to stop being attracted to guilt and instead be in oneness with you, where I experience only peace, only joy, only love, where I can sit down with anybody, where I can share a meal with anybody, break bread with my family, and feel the oneness. And so it is, dear God, that I really love you. I love you because you are everything that is. You are omnipresent. You are omniscient. You are just everything to me. And God, I praise you, and from this moment forth, I'm going to lift everything to a higher vibration by seeing the good. I'm going to stop complaining, whining. I'm going to stop all that and praise the good, because I want to serve in being a part of this great plan of yours, which is to bring peace to earth where the lion and the lamb can lie down together. I am going to be your miracle worker. And lastly, I thank you, God, because it is your divine will manifesting through me that I even have this body, this life, in order to experience a joyful, vital, and creative life. And so it is that I live in spirit with you. Take a big breath. Feel the smile in your heart. Breathe out love. And so it is. We say amen. Okay, Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's so awesome to see you. I look forward to next Sunday. You're most welcome, everyone. And wishing you a million hugs and kisses, lots and lots of love. And we will be back in a week. Okay, have a super week ahead. Bye for now.